to do driver-based budgeting, you need to understand what driver-based budgeting is, and just quite simply, the best example is if you rent office space and it's 75 Rand a square meter and you've got 100 square meters, that's 7,500 Rand a month. And there are many expenses that if you apply your mind, you can start to introduce that kind of logic into. So this is going to just give you an overview of that. So to use this application or spreadsheet, launch it and click on the menu sheet or menu tab, and then click through the shortcuts. So first of all, entity details, you'll just type in your entity details and your year end in there. The formatting of year, month, day is important, so please stick to that, as it does calculate periods automatically. Then you need to name your expenses. We've given you the ability for 300 expenses. It can be increased. We thought 300 would be a good start. Expense ID is an internal expense code, so that particular item would be good not to change. I've chosen not to hide it because you'll see it elsewhere within the template. Account number, you would just type in your own. I have pre-populated a few, and expenses wise I would also just say software expenses, marketing expenses, and rental paid. So those are going to be my three examples for this presentation or tutorial. So once you've identified your expenses, obviously your ledger from your accounting system can be copied into here as well, your chart of accounts. So we've named the expenses, we need to name the drivers. I have pre-named 5 drivers for you, so they would be headcount, revenue, number of computers, etc. I'm going to add in here square meters. Right, so once you've done that, you need to go and populate your drive. And again, I've populated, pre-populated save time. So I've said I've got 100 staff moving up to 105, 110, 120, up to 160. I've got revenue with a 2.5% revenue growth. I've got 85% of people having computers and 100% of people having landlines. Obviously you can shape this as you want. Square meters I've got in as 2,000 with a lift to 2,500 in December, and so you can grow as you want. Just so you know, this input, the first, needs to remain 1. That's why I've shaded it, and that's so that your free text inputs area would come through to your expense detail. So once you've done that, you need to do the other half. So we've done effectively the number of square meters side. Now we need to go do what is the rate per square meter, for example. So we would just go through this. To follow that example, I'll just click on square meters quickly. You'll see that all of I've missed a step, sorry guys. We do need to go back and allocate our drivers. So I've pre-populated that number of computers would be relevant for software expenses, etc., rental paid for square meters, etc. But quite simply, to select it, you would just select, let's say, expense ID 5, and because we're going to start with square meters, I'm going to choose square meters as well. What you can do is, if you jump to square meters, you'll see that there is the full 300 are there, but the ones that you've selected on the expense detail sheet effectively are in white, showing you that that is what you pre-populated. Now you could either hit the reapply button to hide all the inactive ones, or you can show all, up to you. So I'm just going to just apply and hide that, and you'll see I've pre-populated rental at 75, again with an uplift of 8% in January. So you can go, obviously in practice you would start off with number 1 and then go through, and you could literally apply a summary at each level, or we have built in a little button here that says summarize all of them based on what I've selected. So I can then go through and populate. So headcount, I've got nothing there of meaning for our demo. I'm just going to continue down. Software I've set up as 120, etc., etc. Now I want to show you 1 or 2 things that you need to know. First of all, if we just continue down to drive base 11, which is input, this is normal free text, so you just type that in, say 20 1 2 3, 21 1 2 3, and then obviously that will create a bit of a trend, and we can complete that using autofill. So if I jump back to populate your driver now, you'll see there it's all pulling through. If I made a decision that software expenses wouldn't be budgeted by number of computers but rather number of headcount, I could change that. I would hit the reapply. Drivers, all that does is make the active selection, doesn't actually reapply. And I would say, well, if I'm going to do by number of headcount, I'm going to drop this to say 110 for whatever reason. Could stay the same rate, but let's say I keep that as 110, and I jump back to expense detail. I'll now have the ability to say, well, if I have it by headcount, it'll be 11,000. If I have it by number of computers, it'll be 10,200, and make my decision of what's more meaningful there. Also gives me the ability to think around different scenarios. Marketing expense based on driver 7. If I change this as a percentage of revenue, you'll see it's 0 at the moment. So if I jump down to driver base 2, which is over here, and I reapply, you'll see marketing expense come through. And if I said it was 3%, marketing being 3%, you'll see I need to just format that to show it. And I would say maybe November go up to 7%. I could jump back to my expense detail, and we see revenue is 15,000 for that month, and so it grows. And that's pretty much it.